Hello and welcome, everybody. Big Three Sports Show back at you. Nate Martin, Ion Shaw. I'm Kieran Costa, and what a great time in sports. The Olympics are underway. The NBA Finals just wrapped up. The MLB getting into full swing. Trade deadline coming up in just a few days. We'll jump into all of that. NBA draft, of course, tonight in just a few hours. But let's start with our two favorite segments on this show. Nate Martin, what do you have?
Yeah, so player of the week, we're going to go to Tokyo for this player of the week. Going to give it to American swimmer Caleb Dressel. Has brought home 2 gold for the U.S. men's team, including the 100-meter freestyle and the men's 4x100 freestyle relay. He's still got a lot of his events coming up in the butterfly, which is his main stroke. So good luck to Caleb Dressel and the rest of the U.S. men's athletes at this year Olympics, and the women as well.
Women's.
And women. So bad luck on me. I apologize for that. Gonna hand it off to Ion very quickly before I get canceled for
this. Okay. Well, the player of the week this week is Cade Cunningham. And you're wondering why we chose Cade Cunningham. It's because today he is going to get drafted. That's right. The NBA draft is today. We have so much to talk about there. Real quick, so NBA draft starts tonight, and if I'm being completely honest, there aren't a lot of big names other than Cunningham and maybe 2 others in this draft because the hype hasn't been there. But then again, we're here to inform, so let's go ahead and talk about the draft.
Yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and we're gonna do a little quick mock. We're not gonna spend too much time on it. So these are some of the names to keep an eye out for, all down there. Let's get started right away. Cade Cunningham, number 1, 2. This is basically all confirmed according to Woj. It goes Cade 1. Houston selects Mobley 2. Green 2, excuse me. And the Cavaliers add a center in Evan Mobley. All 3 of these players I think are going to be studs in the league. Cunningham
and I just want to say let's assume there'll be no trades in the top 14. It will just get a bit confusing, maybe run a bit long if we do that. We'll assume they all stay in there where they go. 4th to the Raptors, I'm gonna say Jalen Suggs, Gonzaga star, goes 4 here. I think he's the best player on the board at this point.
I think he made himself a household name. Everyone, I feel like everyone who are at least in the sports world knows who Cade Cunningham was before the college season. I felt like a lot of them knew who Evan Mobley was, but I don't feel like anyone knew who Jalen Suggs was until he hit that buzzer beater against UCLA in the Final Four to send them to the national championship. I think that's a great pick.
Here we can, Nate, if you go back up, they were showing the Orlando depth chart. They're obviously deep in the rebuild, but fun storyline. If they take Franz Wagner, him and his brother Mo will be reunited. But I don't think Wagner goes this high. I think Scotty Barnes, the Florida State freshman.
I agree. I just want to talk a little bit more about I feel like this is a clear top 5 as of right now because Orlando is reportedly high on Scotty Barnes. Jalen Suggs is the clear best player available, and I feel like for Toronto, in that position, they just have to take best player available. They have a lot of pressing needs to me, you can define them as needs or you can define them as stuff that they don't really need, but they should just take best player available. And then top 3 is very clear. 6 at Oklahoma City is where things get interesting in my mind. And I think it's between a couple players for me. I feel like it's Kuminga's an option, Bouknight's an option, Davion Mitchell, Keon Johnson, all of these guys, maybe Moody as well, are all options for Oklahoma City. Who do you think they're going to go with?
I think they're going to go with Kuminga. I think he's you know what? I think the top 2 here could be between Kuminga and Bouknight.
I think they go Bouknight here, out of UConn. I really like him. The NBA G League feeder system is not yet fully proven to work.
I would say success if what's his name goes if Green goes 2. I think that's a massive success. And if you have like
I
2 players go in the top 10, like that's a win for the league.
I say Book Knight goes 5 here.
6, you mean? And
6.
if you look at the depth chart, it makes sense because I don't like the idea of Maladon starting at the 2 for Oklahoma City. I think you have to go with Book Knight, and he had a great year at Connecticut. Warriors on the clock here. Easily, this player could be used in a trade later down the line. They could also just take a couple players that I know they like.
The
They are
Aussie.
Kuminga. They are fans of Josh Giddey. They are fans of Moody, Johnson, and Mitchell, and Duarte. So these are all players to keep an eye on for Golden State. And right now, I like the sound of the Warriors grabbing. I haven't really thought this one through. I really like Davion Mitchell, but I feel like that's a reach at 7. I think.
But do you think that he will drop him at 14?
I think he could. Yeah, I do think he could. And I do have another player in my mind for the Warriors if he doesn't go to 14. So I feel like the Warriors are half fine with that. But I feel here they're going to take a wing. And I think it's between 3 guys, Kuminga, Giddey, and Moody. And I'm leaning towards.
You're also Australian.
I got to go with the Aussie, right? I have to go with the Aussie.
Okay.
Playmaker. He can be a Ben Simmons-like player for the Warriors because I know the Warriors were interested in Ben Simmons. And you're going to basically getting Ben Simmons 2.0, tall guard, playmaker from Australia. So, yeah, good pick there. Magic here. Who do we have him going with? I feel like it's going to be Keon Johnson or Moody, one of the 2.
I think it would be Keon Johnson here.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking at
if we look at the depth chart, they took Cole Anthony first round last year. They still believe in Markelle Fultz.
They took Barnes this draft, so they've already got their
taking a small forward.
Maybe you take Kuminga.
Maybe you go Kuminga again.
Yeah, maybe you go Kuminga at the 4, or you could go Wagner at the 4. I feel like that's a real possibility.
He still goes back with his brother. This is a storyline I'm looking for, baby.
That's a great point, Kieran. And I feel like I don't know as much about the players here in this year's draft as I normally do. Mainly just because a lot of the top players in this year's draft were eliminated before.
This year didn't. Okay, no year got the hype of the Zion Jaw draft, but it wasn't a full year between drafts because wasn't the draft postponed?
Yeah.
Last year due to COVID, so I feel like we just drafted a few months ago.
Yeah. I think a lot of the players here are like, let's see, the players who have been picked so far. So Cade, he only made it to the Sweet 16. Green wasn't in the tournament. Mobley made it to the Elite 8 in a very weak bracket. Did he? No, yeah, he did.
Suggsy. People know Suggsy.
Oh, everyone knows who Suggs is. But Scotty Barnes, they didn't go far. UConn didn't go far. Giddey didn't play in the league. Michigan, they didn't go far. So, and
I only know him because he's Franz's brother.
Not a lot of the players here have like massive March Madness storylines. Kings here, I think they go with Kuminga, best player on the board.
I think they might go Moody here because I've heard rumors of Buddy Hield being traded, but I guess they do have Tyrese Halliburton behind him still.
Yeah, and
they do. I say that they could go for a small forward. That would be the sure spot. That would be
Kuminga can develop into a number 1 scoring option for them.
They could.
New Orleans here. Who do they go with? A lot of interesting options here for New Orleans.
I mean, right now, what do they need? There's Lonzo Ball trade rumors going on right now. So if they are looking for a spot at the
center for sure, no, because they got Valanciunas.
Yeah, they did.
Not updated, unfortunately.
They don't need a small forward because Brandon Ingram is still there,
and they don't need a power forward. But they could grab a depth player at the power forward position because they don't
have a shooting guard. They need a shooting guard. It's
so then it will be Moody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexander Walker's their starting shooting guard right now.
Yeah,
Bledsoe is part of the Adams trade.
Okay, we're gonna take Moses Moody for the Pelicans. Keep him down in the South. Went to Arkansas. I'm a big fan of Moody. Good 3-and-D player, fun to watch. Charlotte here. Don't think they're gonna go with a guard. I feel
Obviously,
like they're gonna go big man, and I think it's gonna be Sengun.
Yeah,
Really?
I like that pick.
I'll put in Sengun, or I don't think it's Garuba.
I think it could be Zaire Williams.
I don't think it's Zaire Williams.
Bridges and PJ Washington are their two best players.
Yeah, I think you go with
It's gotta be Sengun.
yeah, Sengun going to the Magic. The Spurs. Who do they have here? Who do they take? DeRozan.
The Spurs
DeRozan has
might
a
take
lot-
Davion Mitchell from right under the Warriors' noses, or the Warriors might try and trade up one spot. Oh, or two spots here.
You don't think they'd go for You don't think they'd go for Cam Thomas? Right
I
now?
think they could go. I think they could go for Garuba here. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a.
Who's their point?
They got Murray.
That's
they got
DeJounte Murray. Yeah.
DeJounte Murray and Patty Mills. That's great depth. Lonnie Walker and White. Maybe they could back.
He's
up
not terrible.
Nah, those are both solid.
both solid.
Both are solid.
Keon
I think it would
Small
be
forward
for-
seems like where they need it.
No,
Where they need help.
Keon Johnson's a lock. He's currently playing for the Olympic team right now.
So
I think
center Ben Podol's the weak end of his team.
center or shooting guard for me.
I'd say center. Nobody wants Gorjui Deng.
Yeah. So
I'd say
Can
then Garuba would probably
Davion
go
Mitchell or Keon Johnson play the shooting guard position?
I feel like you could get Keon Johnson at the 2.
here. But Keon
I
Maybe
Johnson.
just lobbying to
Stats
keep
right there.
Davion Mitchell to his Warriors.
As you can see in his stats, he's not a playmaker. Was mainly a scorer for the Volunteers.
Yeah, which means that you rule out Davion Mitchell because he's more of a playmaker.
Yeah. I think it's Keon Johnson or Garuba.
I say we take Garuba because no one wants Gorjui Deng back there. They don't have a lot of options. Yucca Podol is currently the
Eubanks
starter.
isn't great either.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
bet.
I'd say they go for a
center. They
center.
need depth. I say they take the center.
Yeah.
Okay, Usman Garuba goes to the Spurs. Pacers here. A lot of
Need
info.
everything.
I know.
I mean, I don't really know. Like, okay, well, Malcolm Brogdon right now, you can keep him. I think he's still solid. Karis LeVert, good. Holiday.
All forward, I feel like, is where they have an issue. I feel like
Or center because Turner might be traded.
I
I've
feel
heard
like-
rumors
but
surrounding
there's
it.
not there's the next.
What about
five
Corey
players-
Kispert? Corey Kispert.
I think Kispert or Williams is the move. Both of them sharpshooters at the 3.
I see them going with Corey Kispert in this situation. Marginally
fair
better
take.
stat. Much better stats.
I agree. Yeah.
Kispert goes to the Pacers. They're kind. And I feel like the Pacers are in more of a win now move than win later. And Williams has a lot of development that needs to be done. Kispert
Do the
played all 4 years, doesn't need as much development, can just step in and
Do the Warriors go Davion Mitchell or the hometown Zaire Williams here, Nate?
I think it's between 3 players here. I think it's Keon Johnson, Davion Mitchell, and Quis Duarte. If Mitchell was off the board, if Mitchell and Johnson were off the board, I would take Duarte in a heartbeat. I really like Duarte. Warriors also really like him as well. But I think Davion Mitchell is the best fit for the Golden State Warriors in this draft. If he's still on the board, you take him. And he can play.
Why would they go for a guard though?
Backup point guard for Steph Curry. They need someone to run that second unit.
Yeah.
And Davion Mitchell is a great defender. He can step up, play defense for you.
I mean, better than Nico Mannion can.
Better than Nico Mannion. I mean, none of these guys on the bench are known for their defense except Toscano Anderson. So I like Mitchell getting the defense, and I think Giddey can play some D as well if I remember correctly. But Davion Mitchell to the Golden State Warriors. This is our mock draft right now, and this is the only mock draft we did. So this is our mock draft. Roast us if we get this absolutely wrong. Let's move on to some Major League Baseball. But before we do, I just want to shout out the Milwaukee Bucks for winning the NBA Finals in 6 games. Let's just talk about that.
What a
series.
performance! What
Yeah.
a performance from Giannis! My goodness.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis wrote
Against
everybody off because I remember at the
against
beginning of the year when his name was being thrown around in trades, and everyone's just like, he's never gonna be able to win a title by himself. And I might have been even in that boat, where I was throwing around trades for him mainly because I wanted him to go to the Warriors. But yeah, congratulations,
think
to throw him off.
it was against all odds because they were down 2-0. Everyone's writing them off. Everyone's saying, all right, the Bucks are gone, Suns are taking it. And Giannis shows up in the next 4-game win streak. Middleton also showed up every
And
single game.
Drew Holiday.
And Drew Holiday. All three of them combined, they just played out of their minds. And remember, we had taken the Suns to win it, and they did not play. Chris Paul did not play well whatsoever. I'm not saying the loss is on him. Obviously not. It's on a lot of people. Booker was getting locked up by Drew Holiday almost all
Booker
series.
struggled the last game.
But Booker still dropped at 40.
40, yeah. I think
so that's still impressive. But Drew Holiday came up with some clutch steals that sealed the deal for the Bucks, and Giannis gets.
I feel like me and I are both fans of teams that are like, I guess, super teams, or have been super teams before, and it was really refreshing for me not to see a team like that in the finals, to see two small to mid-market teams play with some really exciting players, good coaching, a great series for basketball. And hopefully that steers more into the direction of the next couple finals, although I have a feeling it's not.
Well, I also think I have a question to pose here. Sorry if we're gonna we can run a little long.
We can run a little long, yeah. Let's
so, do you guys think the Bucks are gonna be back next year to go to the finals?
It's gonna be tough. It can be done. It can be done though. They've proven they can beat the Nets with.
I don't think they can beat the Nets again.
I think they can
because Harden was injured
with 3 of their 3.
If all three are healthy, then I'll take the Nets. But there's a lot of things that you have to rely on. Honestly, if the Bucks players are playing like the way they did, if like the big 3 for the Bucks is playing like the way they did in those last 4 games of the series, with all 3 players getting.
What about this, Nate?
On defense.
One of the Nets' big 3, one of the Bucks' big 3 are injured. Middleton and Harden are injured. So it's Holiday and Giannis versus Irving and Durant.
I'd take the Bucks because I feel like Middleton. I feel like you could take out Middleton because Middleton plays really well half the series and then really poorly the other half.
But Middleton was also
Holiday. At least you know with Holiday you're getting defense.
Middleton was the driving force behind that Game 7 clutch.
Holiday shot so poorly the entire playoffs.
But he came up when he needed to. He came up when he needed to against the Suns in games 3 through 5.
So then let me ask you guys another question then. So right now our final answer is I think no, because the Nets are going to be healthy next year and they're a force to be reckoned with.
You don't know they're going to be healthy next year. You don't know if they're going to be healthy next year.
We don't know if the Bucks are going to be
healthy next year. We don't know if any team's going to be healthy next year.
Exactly.
But we know that players are coming back.
Yeah.
So all things go well, Nets are taking it most definitely. But I think the more interesting part is on the Western Conference. In the Western Conference right now, lots and lots of injuries for almost every team there. Do you guys think the Suns are going to be back?
No, I don't think so.
With an aging Chris Paul, and even more aging.
I don't even think it's just Chris Paul. I don't think it's Chris Paul at all. I think he's going to have another great year with the Suns. I think Booker's going to have a great year. I think Ayton's going to have his first All-Star game appearance next year. But I don't think they're going to make it to the finals. I think it's going to be a team. I think it's going to be.
They ran into so many injured teams.
They did. But I think it's going to be the Clippers. I think the Clippers are going to make the finals next year. I'm calling it early. I'm calling Clippers.
Why you say things when I'm about to say them?
I'm calling the Clippers Nets finals with.
They were. The Clippers without Kawhi Leonard were 2 wins away from the NBA finals.
Yeah, so imagine what they do with Kawhi Leonard.
If they somehow get Kawhi Leonard to re-sign, I feel like we talked about this a few weeks ago, on this podcast about where Kawhi Leonard goes. I think we came to the decision he stays 2 wins away without him. You put him on that team. definitely a finals
Easy
contender.
have- easy have it.
Tyronn Lue, an outstanding NBA coach.
I would like to disagree on that, but I think.
Oh my god.
I
I
think
think I'd like to disagree
that
as well. He
playoff.
didn't even know what he was doing.
Ion, he came back 3 times down 2-0.
He didn't come back.
It was coaching adjustments. A lot of the times it was a couple changes in the starting lineup.
Oh, give me a break,
No
guys.
one-
Come on.
I don't think most coaches would have thought to start.
LeBron James was the coach on that team.
Terrence Mann. Oh my
Terrence
god.
Mann is the perfect
Decision making
example.
down the stretch.
I think it's gonna be Clippers Nets.
I think that
Okay,
a lot of
Ion. Like, okay, so you think every championship LeBron's won, that coach, so like Spo is not a good coach. He's in the same conversation as Tyronn Lue.
I'm only talking about Tyronn Lue. Spo was a really good coach because he was able to.
Spo
mesh
got
all-
carried by LeBron as well.
He won a ring without LeBron.
Almost every single coach gets carried by their team when they have a good player.
But
on their
almost
team.
every single coach has some sort of part in that championship run.
How did Tyronn Lue have a part in anything to do with the Cavaliers? LeBron James yelled at his own coach in front of his teammates, and his coach stayed quiet when he was on the Cavaliers.
I feel like Tyronn Lue has learned a lot since being the Cavs coach.
True.
Spent a lot of time as an assistant with the Clippers. Now he's the head coach.
I think that it was completely in the team, in Paul George. Because that series, that was insane what they did. But
Terrence Mann won game, 6.
yeah,
And he's not in the lineup if Tyronn Lue doesn't put him in the lineup.
I'm glad you're giving Paul George some credit now. Though.
Yeah, he was insane. He was amazing that series. But also, I think we're also ruling out a lot of other teams. Do we see the Mavericks right now?
Mavericks, Nuggets, Lakers, Jazz, Warriors.
I didn't know. I didn't know about Jason Kidd's Mavericks. To be honest.
I agree with Kieran. I think Jason Kidd was the worst hire of the.
I don't like that
offseason.
at all.
I think Jason Kidd was the worst hire that we've seen in the NBA in a long time. Actually,
I don't think that Jason Kidd. Okay, yeah, he was a terrible coach for the Bucks, but he had 2 playoff teams, one in Milwaukee, one in Brooklyn, and he could not win. Yeah, but I do think that the Mavericks, it was the worst signing, but the Mavericks I still think are a force to be reckoned with simply because of
only because of Luka.
Depends on what they get back for KP and if they can get rid of KP.
Yeah, if they get rid of KP, then I think that they can get a solid player to gel with Luka Doncic.
Give me an example of someone who they trade KP for.
If I'm being completely honest, I think someone who'd do really well in Dallas would actually. Who's the player we were just talking about who was probably going to get traded when we were doing the draft? I'm completely blanking the name.
Yeah, so
Simmons.
Ben Simmons could get traded.
I don't think Simmons is going to be a good fit with Luka, if I'm being completely honest. Actually, no.
I don't hate that at all.
Simmons is a big facilitator. And Luka's is a big scorer, so that could be
better defensively, good facilitator.
But I think they need more of a big man rather than a point guard or a shooting guard right now. Because Simmons is probably going to be the point.
Simmons, if you run Luka at the 1 and then Simmons at the 4, that could be a possibility. I don't hate that for Dallas. I just don't think they'd be willing to pay Philadelphia's price. I don't think they could match Philadelphia's price with anything that they have.
Where's Hassan Whiteside right now?
Hassan Whiteside's in Portland or Sacramento, I think.
He's in Sacramento, right? He went back.
Did he go back to Sacramento?
Hassan Whiteside is currently in Sacramento playing for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, he needs to get out of there. I think that he'd do good on the Mavericks. I can't lie.
I think
they need a rebounding presence, and Porzingis didn't bring that for them.
Yeah. That's a possibility as always. It's gonna be a really interesting year next year. I like so much. If every player is healthy, then we're gonna be seeing either. I feel like we're either
every player's not going to be healthy though.
Obviously, but I'm just saying if most teams are healthy by the playoffs, we're either going to be seeing one of the best playoffs ever or one of the worst. Because it could easily just be like some chaos where like a young team like Denver or something goes.
Denver's not that young anymore.
Yeah,
I know, but like compared to like the Lakers, like that sort of thing. But
okay.
we're gonna see Lakers Nets, and that's gonna be like
Quickly, before we move on to the MLB, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have agreed to some sort of deal, so it looks like he will be the starting quarterback.
I think it's a
Season. It's a
a
restructured deal that gives him like a player option at the end of this year, right?
yeah, no, I think it takes off 2023 completely, and it's just this year. That's why Rogers, Adams, and Tanyan have been posting images from The Last Dance on their Instagram.
Randall Cobb was the third guy. They bring Randall Cobb back.
Yeah, they brought Randall Cobb back for a late round pick.
I think it's ridiculous that Aaron Rodgers even stays with the Packers at this point.
I know.
That's
I'd be
like going back to
Okay. But
Hey,
even
but
this
good
whole
analogy
thing, like he
there,
just
Kyle.
wants to win a championship. Like there's no team that he can sign with that's going to give him a better chance than the Packers.
Maybe I would if the Niners if before the draft I would say the
Oh
Niners.
my god.
I say he should.
I disagree.
But after the draft, stay in Green Bay. As far as
I
I'm
say
concerned.
he should.
You're not winning in Denver. You're not winning in Vegas.
I think he should call it quits. If I'm being, he's not going to win as long as Tom Brady's in the league.
In the NFC, I would say Tom Brady in the NFC. I would also say teams like the Niners,
The league. No, I'd say the league.
the whole league, and then like obviously you got KC, Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tough road for Aaron Rodgers' Packers coming up. We'll get more into that as the NBA season, NFL season draws
NFL coming up
closer.
on. Yeah, so that's something to look forward to. Also, Deshaun Watson showing up to practices. That's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
Jury's still out on him, you could say. Joke, because he had to go to court.
Okay.
The MLB trade deadline is here.
One
of the most exciting
stuff like that before the show, and he's keeping up.
One of the most exciting
I'm seeing how it is. I'm seeing how it is.
of the year for an MLB fan. My Yankees grab a left-handed power bat in Joey Gallo from the Rangers for 6 prospects that no one's ever heard of except me. But the Padres very close to closing in on Nationals ace Max Scherzer. But we're going to go over 6 more names we think might be traded and where they're going to go. Let's start in Nate's division, the NL West. The Rockies are fully selling. Trevor Story, arguably a top 3 shortstop in the league. Where's he going to land, Ion?
I say he goes to the Yankees. You know, they've been very interested in Trevor Story as of late, and most interest from the Yankees has been directed towards him. So I think they go for him definitely.
I feel like that's something we've been hearing since like the beginning of last season.
I know, but they've. Yeah.
I think he goes to the A's. I think Oakland's still not done getting players. They're currently in a wild card spot.
They are second wild card spot, 2.5 up on the Yanks.
So they wanna get as a little bit more pieces so they can really push and get away from the Yankees and the Mariners. So they are in a wild card chase by the end of September. Maybe compete with the Astros.
Could chase down the Astros actually.
If they had to add a player like Story, obviously Elvis Andrews right now, the shortstop in Oakland. So if they can do that, then I'd consider it a very successful trade deadline by the A's. Also added Starling Marte in exchange for Jesus Luzardo. Both of those, that's a super interesting trade to me.
I have something to say. I think that's a terrible trade for the A's. Starling Marte is an aging center fielder who's a rental. A rental means they have no control over him after this season. So they're paying for half a year of Starling Marte, and Jesus Luzardo is under contract through like 2027 or something.
One of the best young left-handed pitchers in the league right now.
Jesus Luzardo had like Cy Young odds in last year's shortened season.
Yeah.
What is this? For a rental?
He goes to a team with a very young pitching staff in Miami.
They're not going to win the World Series. Obviously, a good farm system in Miami. So
it's something with Miami team to look out for in the NL East.
Coming up in a few years. Speaking of I think Trevor Story goes to the Yankees. Brian Cashman sort of has to go all out after what we've seen from the Yankees, underperforming. But if you got Gallo, he's going to go after Story. Speaking of A's shortstops, they might acquire Javier Baez of the Cubs, along with Brian and Kimbrel and maybe Rizzo. The Cubs are sort of just blowing it all up at this point. They've already sold Ryan Tepera, one of their best bullpen arms,
And Chafin.
and Andrew Chafin, yeah. So they're obviously just selling them all. Javier Baez, I think, could go to the A's. If he gets traded at all, I think Nate thinks he's not going to get traded.
Yeah.
But
So
if he gets traded at all, I really like the A's as a fit for him.
I think out of all the Cubs you just named, that being Kimbrel, Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez is the least likely to get traded. Just because
I think it's Rizzo, but
I don't think they're as big as a market for a guy like Baez as there normally would be. I think because really maybe the Yankees push hard for him, maybe the A's prefer him over Story, but I don't see that. I think
Yankees are not going for Baez at all.
Yeah, I think he stays in Chicago at least just for the year, for the rest of the season. Interesting to see how that plays out. And he was still in the lineup. I think he was still in the lineup for the game today. Rizzo.
So was Bryant.
No, Bryant and Rizzo were not. Bryant and Rizzo were not in the lineup this game. Basically,
that was also a day game after no rest, so a lot of players will sit. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, if Baez doesn't stay, I mean, the A's are also are a really good spot for him. But I think the Mets are an underrated choice for him. I think that, and I think
for
that
Baez,
the A's or the Mets, Javier Baez, yes.
They signed Francisco Lindor to one of the richest contracts.
You can move one of them to another position. I could kind of see.
They don't have the money to go after Baez. You can't pay two shortstops that obscene amount of money. Speaking of the Mets going after Cubs players, Chris Bryant, I'm like 90% sure if he gets traded, he's going to the Mets. I really like if he goes to the Mets. The Mets have the money and the prospects to trade.
I'm not like
Bryant.
I'm not like 90% sure on this. I'd say I'm more like 80% sure on this, but I have Bryant to the Giants. Got to give at least one player to my Gigantes, and I see it as Chris Bryant, third baseman right now. Longo out with an injury.
Longo's coming back.
Bryant, that's right. He just returned, but Bryant, he can play all over the infield for you. Very versatile player, and the Giants
he can play left field and third base.
Left field and third base. So if you plug him in at left field, which is one of the weaker positions for the team, then that's a great move.
Who's your left field now? Dickerson.
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 I think it's kind of like a rotating cast. You got Tauchman, Dickerson.
Tauchman was DFA'd yesterday, actually, designated for assignment, so he's gone. Hate to see it. Love Mike Tauchman, former Yank. Well, let's move on to the pitching market. Scherzer, we were going to talk about. He's almost confirmed, or the rumors are almost confirmed from Jeff Passan. Yeah. Almost confirmed, I feel like it's poor phrasing.
Ken Rosenthal, not Passan. It's Rosenthal, not Passan.
Almost confirmed Scherzer to the Padres, which is a bit disappointing for Nate. We were talking before the show that he wants the Giants to face the Padres in the wild card game. I don't know if
I want him to win the division. I want him to win the division
anymore.
Come on.
But if they had to play someone in the wild card game, that's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
So we'll say he goes to the Padres. Kyle Gibson, Rangers ace, has had back-to-back bad starts. I think he's still on the move, especially after they sell out Gallo. I think he goes to the AL East, to the Blue Jays, who desperately need pitching.
I think he goes to an AL East team. I think he goes to the Yankees. Some more deals being made between the Yankees and Rangers. So Gibson, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. Already, doesn't have a beard or anything, clean shaven, fits the Yankees mold. Gallo, unfortunately, will have to shave his beard moving to the Bronx.
Unfortunately, you guys have been cutting out, so I can't tell if it's between Kyle Schwarber or Kyle Gibson.
It's Gibson.
It is Gibson. Yeah, okay, I figured. I say he goes to the Rays, actually. Well, I mean, right now he's having kind of a superstar breakout season right now, but picking him up could be a risk because he is 33.
Rays.
That is a very interesting.
Rays do like their pitchers. They're
the Rays do like their weird old pitchers.
They scout well, so I think that they could. I think that they could pick him up.
Yeah, that's.
Let's move back to Chicago. Craig Kimbrel, the best closer in the NL this season, I think, is on the move. Where to?
Dodgers.
I would love to say the. What did you say, Ion?
He
I
said
said
the
the Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Yeah, and I agree. I would love to say the Giants for Kimbrel, but I don't think the Giants are going to be doing that much trade with the Cubs, just Bryant. But I think he's going to go to the Dodgers. They need some bullpen arms.
Could they put him in said trade? Bryant and Kimbrel.
It'd
for
be a
all your
lot. I think
prospects?
you'd have to give up like 6 prospects.
Joey Bart for sure.
I don't think you need Bart necessarily.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I think more.
You guys don't have a farm system depth to not give a Bart in.
Yeah.
If you got
It's
both
gonna-
those guys back.
It's gonna be interesting to see how it goes for the Giants here. I'm really excited because it's been a long time since we've seen the Giants.
You might see some playoff baseball back in the Bay.
And we might be doing a little
We
big
might
three
be
road trip.
going Big
Might
Three
be
IG
big
live
three
from
trip.
Oracle. Who knows? Stay tuned
Very
for
excited.
that.
Playoff baseball, a weekend series against the Padres or Dodgers, something along the lines of that. If we're down, you guys are down for that.
I'm gonna quickly say Kimbrel to the Giants and our last player, power hitting lefty Kyle Schwarber. The Nationals are blowing it up. Where's he going, Nate?
I got him going to your Yankees. I have him going
Would be
to
nice.
Bronx. Another
It would be
power-
terrible decision making after he got
It
Gallo.
would be. It would be. It'd be another power hitting left-handed outfielder.
Which is okay. Quickly, why we do that? Like Yankee Stadium is built for like left-handed power swings. It's a very short porch down that pull hitter line for lefties down the right field line. So like power hitter lefties are the players who thrive in New York, but I don't know if we need Gallo and Schwarber.
Hey, I wouldn't hate it. But the question is, would that be enough for a wild card push with pitching struggles and injuries? I don't know. I do not know.
Wild card push, we're already in. Like we're
No, you're
two and
not.
a half out.
I don't think you're in. Are you? Unless you have a better
We're
win.
pushing a wild card push. After we signed
You're not.
Gallo,
You're not.
we're
If
all
the
in.
season ended, if the season ended right now, you would not be in the wild card.
We're 2 out. So we're
You're 2
pushing
out
hard
from
for
the
the
Mariners,
wild card.
dude. I would never thought I would see the day where the Seattle Mariners are ahead of a wild card race over the Yankees, but here we are.
Half game is nothing.
It's pretty unfortunate there.
I have Schwarber going to our rivals, the Red Sox.
I'd say Schwarber goes to the Blue Jays.
Second in the AL East.
I think they're looking for an upgrade.
That's all I have.
Fourth in the
Quickly
AL
though,
East.
second half. I'm just gonna go all the way to the World Series. World Series predictions because this is our first show since the second half really got underway. So quickly,
Okay,
no research. I know I didn't say this earlier, but
Yeah, it's all good.
who do we have?
Uh,
Let's start from the AL. Nate, who wins?
Are we going? Okay, I'm gonna say the White Sox. Screw it. I'm gonna
That's
go with my.
interesting.
I'm going with my beginning of the season prediction. I did say the White Sox. If not the
The
White
best
Sox, I'd say
Australian player in the MLB on that.
yeah.
team, too,
I'm a
Liam
big fan
Hendriks.
of Liam Hendricks. If not the White Sox, then I'd take the Astros.
I will be taking the Astros of Houston, as much as that pains me to say.
I'm gonna take the Red Sox.
Get off my show.
Much to Kieran's chagrin.
We're gonna need a new co-host after that one, Kieran.
Well, they're 60. They're
Thank
doing
you.
as good as the Astros are right now.
They are not built to win
In October.
through the entire playoffs. They
I
probably
mean,
are.
they're
and
10
I'm
games
just
ahead
like-
of the Yankees, so you tell me.
Oh,
That's why I didn't say the Yankees are making it though.
Astros,
Astros beat them in a 7-game series is the problem. And probably so did the White Sox. But the White Sox pitching has been electrifying.
and that's what you need in October, as we all know.
Giolito, Rondon, Lance Lynn is a very nice 1-2-3 for an NL division series. So let's move on to the NL. Nate, what's your final prediction? You have White Sox versus the Giants, and I will be so disappointed.
Okay, so I think it's going to be an NL West team. I will say that. I do not know which NL West team.
Scherzer's added to the Padres.
Scherzer's added to
Frazier's
Padres,
added to
which
the
is very, very intimidating.
There's
Nobody's talking about
still
the-
Tad Young to be making it.
Nobody's talking about the Diamondbacks.
Bro.
Because they're 5 games away from being mathematically eliminated.
They've won 6 out of the last 10. So
Oh my
yeah, Arizona.
god.
Good on you,
Fucking
Arizona.
that.
Good on you, mate. And I feel like realistically it should not be the Giants, but they could pull out a miracle. I'm gonna
Don't you
take.
dare.
You think they beat the Mets?
Yeah, I think they beat the Mets. I'm gonna take. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna go Homer pick. I'm gonna take the Giants.
All right, I'm taking the Dodgers. They have the
So wait,
stamina.
okay, so Nate, you have White Sox, Giants.
Giants, yeah.
I have Red Sox Dodgers. That's a good series.
Rematch from
That-
2018, right? 2018 rematch.
It's not bad.
Yeah,
Also,
and I might go Dodgers Astros as well.
Which would just be an absolute disappointment for you as a Yankees fan and just as a person. That's not ideal for you, Karen.
I actually really want to see this happen purely in a
For the Dodgers to get revenge.
prove that the Astros only won that World Series because they were cheating. I do think the Yankees grabbed the second wild card spot though, just to end it on a note of optimism for my Yankees.
I feel like the Dodgers. I feel like you're making the picks just from an analytical perspective, and I'm throwing in some bias in there because not only am I a Giants fan, I think like the White Sox are one of my favorite teams in the league, just because they're young, they're exciting, and they have a little bit of rebel spirit to them. So I'm a fan of the White Sox. So I kind of homered it, but I don't care.
okay. Now that those predictions are over, guys, I have some breaking news. I just hopped on my phone for a second to check something, and guess what? The Lakers and the Wizards are engaged on a trade that would send Russell Westbrook to LA.
Is it basically done, or are they just like talking?
Well, from what I know, there was
Lakers talking Russ trade. I do see
they were talking a trade for Buddy Hield, so that they could get
that
rid of
trade's
Kyle
almost
Kuzma.
through.
But no, it got canceled.
Sorry,
That trade got canceled. They were thinking of giving up KCP, Harrell, Kuzma, and a first rounder for Westbrook, though.
If Washington does that, they are stupid.
I mean, this is like
Washington is a joke of a franchise if they do that. If they trade Westbrook but not Beal, why are you even trading Westbrook?
I have the Hield deal is almost through 23 minutes ago.
Oh, so what I have is that Russell Westbrook wants to trade.
I have Lakers trading for Buddy Hield.
well,
The
right
Lakers
now. I don't know if the Hield trade is getting canceled right now. I'm trying to look at the news updates, but right now what it's looking like is no, because Hield could low-key be a future franchise player.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So the lineup would be if we were to land Westbrook and Hield, the lineup would be Westbrook, Hield, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Marc Gasol.
You can't pull that off. We
don't have the money for that.
No, it's not even money's an issue. It's just you won't be able to get both Westbrook and Hield. You're gonna have to pick between the two.
No, I think we could land him if we guarantee rings, but because LA is known to like as one of their like major selling points. They go, oh, we guarantee a championship if you come and you stay with us for the long haul.
I think I don't know if that's a really good thing for the Warriors or a really
Okay,
bad.
I just got another update that they're close to a Russell Wilson trade, not just talking.
Westbrook.
Yeah, that's what I got as well. So I feel like for me as a Warriors fan, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it could be a bad thing because it's obviously Westbrook in the Western Conference in the Pacific Division, but it could also mean the Washington Wizards are selling and that we can get Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal is a player that I really, really want on the Warriors. So that's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out. Let's transition into some Olympics talk to close out the show. What is there to say about the Olympics so far? I think let's start off with basketball.
Watched them.
Oh, you haven't watched them?
That's actually the major theme for almost everyone, especially in the USA. The Olympics are normally an event that is so prestigious and extremely world famous, obviously. But this year, they just haven't been hitting as much as they did in 2008 or 2012. Even 2016 wasn't as eventful as 2008 or 2012. So, I mean, the major theme right now is we're not watching them. We're only watching the highlights. And
Yeah.
from the highlights, there's quite a lot of stuff going on with the USA. I mean, USA men's basketball playing off a bit. It's abysmal performance.
They beat Iran by 50.
We get Damian Lillard gets cooked by Evan Fournier.
Can you name one Iranian basketball player?
Iranian?
Iranian.
No.
Exactly.
Because that's the one team that the USA's beaten in this Olympic tournament so
Games.
far. And they've lost to France by like 4 or 5.
I think France went on like a 14-0 run to close out the game.
Mm-hmm. They did.
Which is just really disappointing.
But how much are they actually trying? Like, if this team,
you should be trying.
It's the Olympics.
Trying. You have
exactly.
It's
the Olympics. It's not the NBA.
I don't know if it was Damian Lillard who said this, but I think someone said it used to just be like not like it's just like, oh, now these guys are actually taking it seriously, you know?
Yeah, that's what Lillard said, because the players are playing a lot differently for their country. Because certain international players are very, very patriotic. Evan Fournier dropped 28 on us. Played completely different than how he normally does in the NBA. And Damian Lillard showed. And Damian Lillard saw that. And it showed. And the USA's flaws are just opening up like wounds right now. But because the NBA refs have made the team players super, super soft. Soft like Charmin level type of soft. The foul calls are awful in the NBA. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows that even one curse word could lead to you getting ejected. Whereas these international players, they're tough. They are tough players, and the rules are different. And NBA players don't understand that. That is why Luka Doncic is actually thriving right now. He dropped 48 in the last Slovenia win, while these USA players are not, because these teams are a lot tougher than they think they are, and we think that we're just going to go in like it's our bread and butter. It's not. We have to take this seriously if we're going for gold.
The problem is for the U.S. basketball team is that they all want to play ISO basketball, but they have Greg Popovich as the head coach, whose coaching style is really just revolves around passing the ball, finding that extra pass, extra look. You saw many players, like I remember Damian Lillard passed up a wide open 3 to pass the ball to Drew Holiday to take a contested shot. Now down the stretch in the France game. The
system is not working. The coaching system is not working. That's because USA had Coach K, who knew how to utilize everybody's strengths, even though he was a college coach. And Pop is just not doing that right now, and it's actually disappointing to see. So it's an all-around disaster. It's a garbage fire. It's a dumpster fire in the USA basketball team right now. But going off of basketball,
3v3 basketball. I love it. I'm sorry.
3v3. I don't really know how that works.
It's an interesting concept. I feel like I watched a game of it yesterday, and I was just like, I like loved it at first, but it's not really like entertaining. I don't know. I don't think
it's not viable for a long-term type of watch.
Yeah, I would love it to go to the NBA.
Isn't it just like pick a basketball? Like, don't they play to 21 or something?
Yeah, and it's 1s and 2s, not 2s and 3s. But I feel like it's
just a pick a basketball game.
Yeah, it's a pick a basketball game. Okay, then we could just watch the Olympics at my local park.
Yeah.
If that's
a bad thing. It gives you hope, Ion, you know?
Okay, very fun.
I think I could gold medal. I think I can medal in like some event at the Olympics.
Oh, I can medal in that 3v3 contest.
I think I can medal in like handball.
I strongly disagree.
If I practice my butt off at like handball or something, like I think I could win a medal.
Additionally, sorry to stray off the 3v3
and just join Team USA. Like if I just joined Team USA basketball right now, I could probably win a medal. I wouldn't play.
Exactly. That's my point.
Medal.
You could join Team USA basketball and win a medal, which is a good thing to know, you know.
But if you don't play any,
exactly.
I also couldn't make Team USA.
This is not a debate. This is not a debate.
You couldn't make any team. You could not make any Olympic team except maybe like Iran handball.
Wow. Disrespectful to Iran.
Okay, well, straying off of basketball, I want to talk about gymnastics right now. There's quite a bit of controversy going on.
A
in
little
the gymnastics
disrespectful
team
to
right
stay
now.
spraining off a basketball and then immediately going into Simone Biles, who suffered an injury in the
It was a mental injury, not a physical
Is a
injury.
mental. No, she also had an injury, but she could still practice, and that's the main point. Simone Biles recently pulled out of from Team USA from the Olympics when they were right there. They just got a silver medal, and she just yanks out. And there's a lot of hate and a lot of love going to her way. There's hate from the fans, because people are saying that's not GOAT mentality because she is the greatest gymnast of all time. I think that she's
has
the
an
greatest
argument
gymnast
for
of all
being
time.
like one of the greatest female athletes of all time.
Yeah.
The one thing that annoys me about that is the spot she took of someone who's worked their whole life and wasn't invited to the Olympics because she was, and then you don't play.
Yeah,
Like
that spot was
you
filled.
took someone who worked so hard spot and then didn't use it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just a level. There's a lot going on from when it comes to sports media outlets and other athletes. They're praising her. They're talking, oh my God, yes, this is like great. You should check your mental health. It's great to check mental health, but we didn't see this kind of coverage. We didn't see this kind of positivity when Kyrie Irving was not playing for a few games when he was taking some mental health days because he was having also mental health problems. Instead, people told him to retire. Same thing for Naomi Osaka when she withdrew. People were hating to absolutely no end, and there was no love from the sports media outlets. Like for Kyrie Irving, Stephen A. Smith told him he should retire on first take. Tells him, Kyrie, you need to retire if you're going to keep acting erratic.
I think what it is, I feel like in Kyrie's situation, if I remember correctly, did he specify it was a mental health day? Because as far as I can tell, he just kind of dipped on the team. He didn't specify mental health.
Yeah, he did. He specified that he had mental health days. I remember that. So I mean, while Nate searches that up,
Okay.
I think that right now, hopefully, people, athletes' mental health awareness is taking steps in the right direction. If we're kind of moving towards a more positive outlook on it, but overall, it's pretty disappointing for Team USA gymnastics.
Yeah, okay.
That like the entire team.
He
The
didn't
solos.
really say mental health. He just said, "I don't want to play today."
He did say that, didn't he?
He just said, "I don't want to play today. I just didn't want to play." Which I mean, you could say that and it can be said as mental health, but it's like also like I think it'd be better to say like, "Oh, I'm just taking this day off because I'm not in the best place mentally." You know,
okay, well, he doesn't have to. He doesn't. He's not at liberty to discuss whether he's having
fair.
mental problems or not.
Yeah.
And Simone Biles basically said the same thing. I don't want to play. It's USA was it was difficult for me playing in the USA team. I didn't want to compete.
Yeah.
And then she talked about mental health, and even then afterwards, Kyrie Irving did talk about his mental health, and he did come back and play the rest.
Yeah.
And I think that overall, just gymnastics took a big hit with the silver this year.
They've stepped up. They
just did step up. I forget. I'm blanking on her name right now, but
Suni Lee.
Yeah.
Has done a great job. Just became an all-around champion at the Olympics. So that's one of the competitors who have stepped up big time for the U.S. women's gymnastics team.
Yeah, so that's a kind of a bright spot for for Team USA right now. So hopefully things go better from now on, past all this controversy. But
I think
still a lot of stuff to be done. So
it's been a really interesting Olympics so far. Let's move like tennis obviously as well. Naomi Osaka eliminated in the third round. It reminded me a lot of, excuse me, Neymar being eliminated from the World Cup in 2014, right? And Brazil. So like the poster athlete of the tournament. It was a big deal for them to be competing. She's this young superstar, and she's get eliminated in the third round. Has dealt with mental health struggles before. Hopefully, this does not affect
her mental health struggles was not talking to the press. Like in Wimbledon, you're forced to talk to the press before and after every match, and she didn't like dealing with that at all.
It was at the French Open. It was at the French Open, and then she didn't do Wimbledon because she didn't want to talk to the press.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I think I good for Naomi Osaka. What else has happened? Swimming, there's been a lot of swimming events. US has won a lot of medals there.
Water polo. We
Water polo?
destroyed Japan.
Destroyed Japan. Good job, America.
I think water polo's
One of the toughest sports to play.
pun. That was a pun, by the way, Nate.
Water polo is a hard sport to play. That is a hard sport.
that has to be one of the most difficult sports I've ever seen.
I know a couple like water polo players. They are some of the most buff dudes.
They're swole. They are swole.
They are swole men. They are. It's a tough sport to play. What else? Swimming. Swimming. The U.S. has brought back a lot of medals in that. So has Australia. I remember there was a good clip of the Australian coach when the Aussie swimmer beat Katie Ledecky in the 400 meter, just going insane, dancing. That was a good clip to come out of the Olympics. There's been a lot of weightlifting stories as well. I know that the Philippines won their first gold medal at the Olympics in weightlifting, which was cool.
Well, sorry to interrupt, Nate.
Yeah.
It's final. Russell Westbrook has been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. Well, that's nice to see. Hopefully he plays well here.
Woj hasn't said it yet.
Woj said it. The Lakers... It's a guarantee. Hold on, wait. Woj did.
Woj just said there's no agreement in place yet.
Okay, give him like.
Yeah,
10
there's
seconds.
no agreement in place. That was from 10 minutes ago. This is a trade Washington wants to make with Bradley Beal in mind, creating some salary cap space. No, don't do that, Washington. Don't do that to create caps flexibility to add talent around him. Trade Bradley to the Warriors. You know you want to do it. That's such a bad deal for Washington.
At least we gave up Kyle Kuzma. We're gonna give up Kyle Kuzma.
This is a win-win for Zion.
How do you rob Washington that bad?
It's LA, bro. Robbing is like a theme in LA. I mean, the streets.
What do you mean by that? Oh, Shamet gets traded to Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's
so we'll get into all of that next week. We'll do a whole trade draft, MLB trade deadline, all these NBA trades, NBA draft. We'll cover all of that next week. For Nate Martin, I'm Ion Shaw. I'm Kieran Costa. Thank you for listening.